Chapter 6. Leaving for Work. The number of students who died that year brought to light the inhumane and unsanitary conditions under which the school was run. Mr. Brocklehurst was replaced by a new inspector, who was a fair and kind man. The patrons donated greater sums of money so that the girls could be fed well. The school became an excellent institution. Still, it was like living in a prison. I was proud to be first in my class, glad that the teachers treated me with respect and love, happy that I had made new good friends, grateful that I did not have to worry about having a roof over my head. But what good is all that without freedom? I wanted to live in the world. I wanted to learn about the world. I was intelligent, capable, healthy. I did not want to be a charity case. Who said that because I was a woman I could not be independent and earn my living? After I finished school, I stayed on for 2 more years as a teacher. Then I made up my mind to leave. I was 20 years old. It was time, I thought, to be on my own. So I put an advertisement in the paper saying I was seeking a position as a governess. I did not have to wait long. In over a week, the position was offered to me. I was to take care of a 10-year-old girl. Reader, you cannot imagine how I felt. For 10 years, I had not gone beyond the walls of the school, except to attend church. Mrs. Reed had stated that she did not want me to darken her doorstep again, so that during the summer and the holidays, there had been nowhere for me to go. The last time I had been on a coach was when I first came to the school. I had been frightened then, and I was frightened now. I did not know what might be in store for me. All the information that I had consisted of 2 names, Mrs. Fairfax, the name of the lady who had responded to my ad, and Thornfield, the name of the place where she lived. I arrived early evening, after a 16-hour journey. All I could make out in the dark was the outline of a large, gloomy building. Candlelight gleamed from a bay window on the ground floor. Everything else was dark. A servant opened the door when I knocked, and, without saying a word, she led me to a small room. An elderly lady sat by the fireplace. I assumed she was the lady of the house, and I was surprised to see that she had no airs, but greeted me with a warm and kindly smile. "How do you do, my dear?" she asked. "You must be awfully tired." "Are you Mrs. Fairfax?" I asked. "Yes, I am. Come sit down close to me, by the fire. You must be freezing. Do you have any luggage?" "Yes." "I'll see that it's taken up to your room," she said, leaving me alone for a moment. She was treating me like a guest. I had expected a cold, stiff reception. I had heard that the governesses were treated just a little better than servants. When she returned, I asked her when I would be meeting Miss Fairfax. She was confused. "Miss Fairfax?" she asked. "My pupil." "Ah, you mean Miss Varens." Now it was I who was confused. "She's not your daughter?" "Good heavens, no!" No further explanation was given on the matter. A servant brought us tea and sandwiches, and while we ate, Mrs. Fairfax told me how much I'd like Thornfield. "It's a little dreary in the winter, but what place isn't? In any case, Adele, that is Miss Varens' name, makes the place quite lively. And the grounds are lovely, you'll see. Of course, they're not kept as well as they would be if Mr. Rochester resided here all the time." "Who is Mr. Rochester?" I asked. "The owner of Thornfield," she said. "I thought Thornfield belonged to you." "What an idea," Mrs. Fairfax said. "I am the housekeeper." "Who are Adele's parents?" I asked. "Adele is Mr. Rochester's ward. Her mother is French and lives in France." Without any further explanation, Mrs. Fairfax showed me to my room. The next morning, when I met Adele, I saw that she was a pretty, charming child. She did not like to work hard, but she was docile and sweet-tempered. I liked her, and I liked Mrs. Fairfax. The room where I slept was cozy and cheerful. The library, which Mr. Rochester had ordered to be used as a schoolroom, was filled with interesting books. There was plenty to read. The countryside was beautiful, and I enjoyed taking long walks each day. And yet, there was something creepy about living in an immense, empty house. There were countless rooms that were kept closed. The large hallways echoed with my footsteps when I walked about. The whole upper floor was unoccupied, but late at night strange, eerie sounds came from it. I knew it was the wind, strong drafts sweeping through the empty rooms. but could have sworn I heard footsteps, and sometimes shrieks. I had been taught drawing at school. It was something I had excelled at, and now I took it up again. I got in the habit of going up to the roof to draw the view of the countryside from up high. On one such day, as I walked up the narrow staircase that went past the attic, I heard a loud, screeching laugh. I stopped in front of the attic door and listened carefully. The person who had laughed before laughed again, in a lower tone. Then there was total silence. There had been no joy in the laughter. It was shrill, vicious, and mocking. It made my blood run cold. Instead of going up to the roof, I ran back downstairs. "Mrs. Fairfax," I said, out of breath. "There's someone in the attic. I heard someone laughing." "Oh," said Mrs. Fairfax calmly. "That must have been Grace Poole. She's one of the servants. She goes up there to sew." "Who is Grace Poole?" I thought. "How come I've never seen her? Why would she go up to the attic to sew?"